Hi everybody, we just played our 10th session, Tethra the Fomorian. When we last left our adventurers, they had just met with Lysara the Topaz Dragon and had decided that they were going to kill, potentially, Tethra the Fomorian to free the Boggles and Shadow Goblins to come and serve Lysara. And we started with them just entering the cave back to Tethra when they discussed for a bit, like, what's their plan of attack, what are we going to do, and they came up with, we're going to talk to Tethra and Mocha and see what their reasons are for wanting to kill the dragon and what makes them think that they're fit to lead these Boggles and such. And then depending on what was going to happen there, Thedon was going to be invisible and they were going to try and assassinate Tethra and attack her from all sides to wipe her out. And then as they started heading in, Thedon, the Bugbear Rogue, and Tink, the human artificer, who are brothers, quote unquote, had their own private chat, like, hey, I think we need to open up a little bit to the group and trust them a little bit more so they can trust us, because we're going to need each other when we fight the Fomorian. So when they first entered the cave entrance, they brought everyone together and said, hey, just wanted to let everybody know, I know we're not the most honorable of people, but we, want to do better and we want to work with you guys and be a team, and we're going to need each other as we fight. And once we're out of this realm, we can discuss our future together. But for now, you have our complete and utter trust. So I thought that was great to kind of bring Thedon down to their level, as he's been so conspicuous towards the other party members that they have been kind of distancing themselves. So I thought that was the perfect remedy for that scenario. So they headed down to Boggles and I pulled out the battle map and had to move around, and they went immediately and called for Mocha, the Shadow Goblin, to come and talk to them. And he walked out with his apron on and said, yes, how can I help you? What do you require? And they talked to him, and I tried to understand what it is about Tethra. And he was basically just defending her and saying, I serve her and she's my lady and she protects us from the outside and things like that. And during that time, while Tink and the Shadow Goblin were talking, Wink, Enzo, and Olivax went to talk to Tethra, who they remembered only speaks Sylvan. And Wink tried to charm Tethra, which didn't work, and she brushed it off, saying, you can't charm me, you just have to be yourself in order to get on my good side. You guys serve me now, why haven't you gotten the dragon back? And they told Tethra that the dragon indeed had been slain, and that they're wanting to know what to do with the hoard, and it's very large and it's hard to bring over. So she walks swiftly to go out to check the entrance of the cave, and Mocha stops her and is like, what are you doing? She's like, oh, the dragon is out there. And he's like, no, he just told me that they haven't killed the dragon yet. And Tethra turns around and is like, you trying to steal my chair? And she runs back to her big kitchen chair and sits on it as if it was musical chairs, which was all improv. I had no idea what Tethra was going to do or how they were going to transition from not having retrieved the dragon to getting Tethra to attack them, because she's not just going to outright attack them for no reason. These aren't the first travelers that she's tasked with killing the dragon or the lizard. So then Mocha and Tink were hugging each other as Tink was trying to fake that he had cried, and Mocha was like, yes, I've lost brothers, it's it sucks. And then they had a little discussion at the entrance of the lair of Tethra, and Mocha went back to his kitchen, and then they decided we just need to talk to Mocha and tell him straight and see how he reacts, and let him know that Tethra is not the best leader that you can have. Lysara is a much more capable leader. So Olivax and Tink went to see Mocha in his kitchen as he was soaking some rotten meat in some sort of brine for Tethra. And they're like, hey, we need to talk to you. We know this is going to sound bad, but Tethra is not the right leader for you. She is not fit to lead you guys, and you would be much better under the dragon. And so what happens is Mocha excuses himself, and he goes up to Tethra and tells him that these guys are being mind controlled, and their minds are being poisoned by Lysara. And Tethra immediately wishes to destroy them, as they're a danger to themselves and to everyone in this cave. So they must be eliminated right away. So initiative is rolled, and Tethra is a Fomorian, which is a 8 challenge rating, which I did not think my players would be able to handle. So I scaled it down a little bit, and I also scaled down some of the Boggles, as there's 2 types of Boggles. There's just the normal Boggles, and then there's the Boggle Tricksters, which have some sort of spellcasting capability. Unfortunately, I totally forgot about the different spells they had, so I didn't want to take up time at me looking at their monster stat block to find the spells. I had some spells already written up, and I just forgot about them. I had Tasha's Hideous Laughter, and I had some funny boggle jokes that they could tell to help get them prone. My goal was to have the boggles be a nuisance, but not be like a major point of conflict. I wanted it mostly to be with Tetra and Mocha. So how it started out was, since Olivax and Tink were in the kitchen, which was on the far end, and Tetra was sitting on her throne, and Theron was invisible right next to the throne, Tetra moved down and started attacking Enzo and hit him, and I rolled 3d8, and I rolled really low. I think it did like 10 damage or something like that. And I forgot the ability of her magical great club the first round, which is if you hit a target, I made up this weapon where they need to make a wisdom saving throw. And if they fail, then they're slow because they have this sorrow of this nymph's memory that's haunting them basically. And they need to shake it off with the wisdom throw at the end of every round, or they'll be plagued by this, which will only allow them to either use an action or bonus action, not both, and only half their movement. If that would have worked, that along with the boggles who can secrete oil from their body, which makes it either slippery or makes it sticky. Sticky makes them restrain, and slippery makes them fall. That combined with itself, I could really just pin down the players and just let Tetra go to work. So since I forgot about that in the first round, the combat was only 3 rounds, so that was a really heavy miss by me because I scaled down her damage, which was supposed to be 3d8 plus 6 or 3d8 plus 9. I just did just 3d8 only, which I think worked well as far as the damage amount. I think just me missing that ability of the Great Club at the beginning was a huge miss for me. It would have made it much more difficult on the players. I feel like this was a medium difficulty battle when I really wanted this to be a hard battle, but I also want the combat to go quickly. I want my turns to be quick. So if I'm taking 5 minutes on my turn because I need 2 minutes to look up the stat block, I do not find that fun, even though I only would have needed it for the first round. I just want it to go smooth. So since I forgot it, oh well, I can always just work better on that next time to make sure the stat blocks are all right next to each other. Because how I'm doing it now is I'm just taking a screenshot of the monster page and then just putting that on OneNote and then just having them side by side. Whereas I just need to take a picture of just the stat blocks themselves. That way it's all visible, because the problem is since the page is so large, which is useful because I'm using the page to get like the backstory of the monsters so I can remind myself to roleplay them correctly, it makes the stat block text way smaller than it needs to be. So I'll need to work on a way to reorganize that better. But essentially what happened for the battle was Enzo got hit the first time, and then she walked towards Olvax as she saw him as the biggest threat in the party. Then Waldo turned into a brown bear and ran up to Tetra, and they all started attacking Tetra. Tetra immediately switched gears and only started attacking Waldo, since he's now a large creature, whereas everyone else is just a medium or small. Mocha and Thadon had like this little battle on the grand chair. However, Enzo has the sword of Arcturus, which is an elvish sword that can cast light from it, bright light at 20 feet, and that's causing Mocha to have disadvantage, which was like a happy accident because the boggles were not like scared of bright lights like they thought they were. So that was a good surprise. I then had in Tetra's next round, she did a ground and pound. A club bash is what I called it, where anyone within 10 feet had to make a save or fall prone. I really wanted to stress the prone condition with her, and they bloodied her, I think, on the first round or the second round. And there was a natural 20 rolled at her by Waldo, and the boggles were biting Wink and Thadon and Enzo, and just being a nuisance and restraining them and just trying to take their health down little by little. She ultimately, at the end, used her Curse Eye as she was basically about to die. She only had like 30 hit points, I think, left, and I had her do it on Tink, and it killed him, or it knocked him out in one hit, as it does 6d8. I rolled 20 on that, which was really low, but it ended up knocking him out in one punch. And then I told him that his body is now like deforming, and you see boils on your arm as you go out. And so Enzo was the one who got the final blow with the Sword of Arcturus, and immediately all the boggles started bending down and saying, oh, our master has been murdered, and Tetra, stuff like that. So that was funny. And then I had Olivax immediately ran to the big chair and he started giving a speech like, against the darkness we shall prevail, and we'll be honorable and lead out and defeat the darkness. And the Boggles were like, oh, defeat the darkness. And they ended up like praising him, like Ewoks praising C-3PO at the end. And Olivax at one point said like, as a Dragonborn, like I will fly. And they like took it literally like, oh, you need to fly. So they like try to pick him up and like carry him above them, like, oh, he must fly above us. So I had a lot of fun role playing with the Boggles, and that's where we ended the session, with them investigating the crime scene, and deciding like what to do with the Boggles and Mocha, and what's our angle with Lysara. One point after they defeated Tetra, Thadon popped out the big orange eye, which we'll see what happens with that. And so that's where we ended things. I thought it was a good session. Again, I think I missed the ball with making it a little bit more difficult. I'm still working on adjusting the difficulty on the fly. I think it was fine. A lot of them had like less than 5 HP left. So another one hits, one goes down, and then the battle, slowly turns into the favor of Tetra. So it may have seemed like it was easier than it was, but a lot of the players, were one hit away from going down. So next session, we'll see what they do with Tetra. I'm assuming they're just going to, lead the Boggles to Lysara and just let Tetra's body rot in their old home. And Mocha will be, hesitant to follow Lysara as she murdered most of his family, but eventually he will, accept her for what she is and learn to thrive in the Boggles as well. I also have planned that the Darklings will no longer be there. Like, they've outstayed their welcome and have moved on, accepting their curse for what it is. And she is going to direct them to Balubas, who is like a leprechaun type character. I have a lot of funny dialogue written out in an Irish accent, who will then require them to do a favor in exchange for leading them to the portal, as he knows exactly where it is. And that's the plan. We'll see how that goes. I do plan, once they do the task for Balubas, I do have them planned to meet with a unexpected character that they know of. So I'm very excited. So stay tuned and see what happens next. And thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.